Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. So, I'm going to make some of my days, I'm going to put up like 4 shorter videos, that are just segments. I have segments of different things I cover every day. Like today, I'm going to cover, of course, the war in Iraq and with Israel and Iran. And I got a couple of short videos to show you of Don Lemons and some Donald Trump stuff. But it's going to be today is the day I'm going to divide those up, but like some days I will. And on my Apocalypse Now channel, I'm going to start posting content there. And so I'm going to post a short, not a short video, like a 1 minute video, but a shorter video about, I watched this interview to do with AI, and then I want to talk over there about Apocalypse Now, about restarting that channel and going over there some of the days. And I think I'm going to do things like farm updates there and some other stuff. And so, it's just a matter of how I mean, sometimes I intend to do stuff, but it's hard for me to get out of routine, but we'll see. And I'm just doing that because once in a while there might be a chance a shorter video will get a lot of run, not like hundreds of thousands or millions like I used to get on YouTube, but some, more, more than normal, and that can help bring in more, viewers and things to the channel. So I have to talk about this regularly. I mean, I have to bring in more viewers. People are in, your existing audience is just going to be there for so long. There's some people who watch forever, but I mean, people come and go, which is understandable. I have a few comments to read, I think, as well about that. But, I can only understand why people move on. So there has to be a way to bring in new viewers. And when YouTube doesn't recommend your videos to new people, that doesn't happen. And the weird thing about it is that with this, Iran and Israel are at war. Trump has escalated trade wars with the fucking bullshit, weird shit that he's doing with the, with the tariffs. And, kind of feels like we're just about to go over a cliff. And there's these prophecies I read you from Whispers by sometime next winter, either in December, January, or February, or sometime around there. There's going to be a big event, which I assume is somebody's going to launch some missiles. There's going to be some nuclear activity. I'm not sure if it's that, but that's my understanding, at least possibly. And I've been talking about this for years, and what to do to prepare for this, and there's going to be validation, whatever, of all the things that are here about building a pocket of the future, and there's going to be widespread inflation. I mean, even if there's nothing big that happens, at some point it's all going to catch up to us, economically, energy-wise, culture-wise, more than anything else. And then, of course, there's AI, right? Like, so, all those things are going to be massive changes. And even if AI doesn't go, full Terminator, doesn't go full whatever it is, Skynet or whatever. If it doesn't try to kill us, it's going to take all our jobs. I mean, it's going to make lots of people redundant, lots of people, useless. And it's going to make everybody stupider and, whatever. It's just, it's so great. I'm using it all the time. It's definitely making it easier for me. And, this last video, even the suggestions, and it offers to do, like the ChatGPT offered to get me on whatever that, that app is, Substack, right? It offers to write your bios for you. It offers to do all this shit. It says, I can help you get on Substack if you want. And other things like, the various, it's like having an assistant. And so, it's not stopping. They're not going to stop it. And I'll cover that, like I said, in my Apocalypse video that'll go up either Thursday or probably Friday, depending on what happens. But anyways, that's where we're at, right? We're at this sort of, pockets of the future time where people's got to start making pockets of the future and thinking about it and preparing for it. And, so it should be right up my alley. And, all the things I've said about people needing to change, and like you can't rely on these crazy people. All the leaders that are out there, certainly Netanyahu, and even more so Trump. And then, I think Putin has been somewhat more practical. Like he tried to de-escalate the thing with Iran, and he's not wanting nuclear war. Maybe a little bit more to some of these other people. Trump is just walking into it like a fucking dope. And Israel needs things to go ballistic for them to grab not only the rest of Palestine, but all that other land. And they're just like, full out, fuck you. And I got a great Instagram video of this Republican girl blaming Iran for Israel's attack on them. There's no reason for Israel to start bombing them. Like, Israel's wanted to do this forever. Israel has wanted to bomb Iran for, 50 years. I mean, this is not something new. And America's just saying, like, no, don't do it. And there's no reason for it. It wasn't like Iran was any closer. They've been close to having a nuclear weapon for quite some time. And they deserve to have one as much as anybody else. They're not any worse than these other countries. Like, you could say, all right, these guys are bad guys and we're good guys. But, let me think about what Israel's doing to Palestine, what America's done to all these Middle Eastern countries. I mean, in some ways we're worse. Israel has been the most aggressive country in the Middle East over the years. And, look at, again, the Palestinian thing. So they have no high ground to stand on and say that they had, their whole thing is we have the right to defend ourselves. But anyways, I'll show you that meme and we'll talk about this more then. And so, this is kind of like my time, and my viewership is dwindling. Like, this would be a time my channel would have more value, because I've said this all along. I called the bullshit on Trump and his stupid, his fake assassination attempt. And he was doing that to his own people, like people who were, Trumpers or possible Trumpers. That wasn't for Democrats. He wasn't fucking over liberals. He was scamming you guys, or not you guys, because the Trumpers don't come here anymore. He was scamming Trumpers. And then all the truthers that went along with it, because they saw Trump was somehow going to be better than Kamala. And what I said in my other video, which I want to repeat more and more, the difference between Trump, what makes him worse, is he doesn't answer to as many people in a party like the Democrats do. The Democrats have to answer to so many more people. And they have a sense of, like, long-term, they care about the party. They care about, as selfish as they are, they have, like, different levels of scrutiny within their own party. Where Trump is just running the Republican Party like a fucking king. That's why they have those no king protests. And, the people that are above him are like, go ahead, wreck America. Israel certainly wants Trump to go full Trump. That's one of Trump's handlers. And Wall Street, and, which is connected to Israel. And the banks, they're all seeing that Trump can, and, all these kind of things are a distraction from the economic liabilities that the Wall Street and the banks and the derivatives market have. Whenever you have these wars, it's good for the rest of these things. So that's where we're at right now. And if Russia gets involved with their alliance with Iran, then we're in World War III. And this is a time for pockets of the future, but whatever. Maybe it just doesn't matter because nobody's listening. Like, everybody is, they're caught up in their hopium. This is a time where people are diving deep into their hopium. Anyways, let's get to Don Lemons here. Okay, so let's start here with Don Lemons, and we're going to segue into the Iran thing, the Israel-Iran thing, and possibly World War II. And so idiocracy doesn't exist on the left and not the right. It doesn't exist in the left and the right and not the middle, right? Idiocracy is a collective thing, right? It is a dumbing down of the whole population. It's not, oh, well, that group is really, really stupid. It's everybody. And so Don Lemons is a good indication of this, because Don Lemons sucked on CNN, which sucks, right? He was one of the worst persons, like, in terms of his stupidity. And his takes are just really goofy. They're horrible. In that he has a following. Like now on social media, he's doing, what many of us do. And there's lots of people out there making content where there's an audience of people that go and listen to them, myself included, to get like information about what's going on in the world. And so they get their news from individual people, small channels, small, whatever it is, like podcasts and things. And Don Lemon is one of those people now. And this is the kind of stuff that I've got 3 short clips here, and he's just so stupid. The R word is really what's appropriate here.
Taxicab confessions. Here's what I think is important right now. I think it's important that people speak out and they have a voice. What I find interesting, and I don't usually, is that celebrities, Hollywood, they're speaking out. Kim Kardashian, Tyler Perry, Doechii. I think it's important because...
Wait, Kim Kardashian is speaking out about Trump and the protests? Oh my God, how can Trump, how is he going to stand up to that? And Tyler Perry, did Tyler Perry wear a dress when he did it, or did he just do it as Tyler Perry? I don't know who Doechii is. But, they got the celebrities are speaking out. It's really important to speak out because Trump really listens to celebrities and left-leaning people. And Kim Kardashian. These protests, it's over these protests thing. You think Trump's going to listen to them or Republicans are? You don't know where we're at in the game. There is complete, ignoring. In fact, it's the opposite. They want you to protest because it's like, hey, look at these guys. They go on Fox News or Trump, tweets stuff and shows liberal celebrities who are speaking out are hated by the Trumpers and the QBs and all those people, right? I mean, in general, celebrities who are talking about politics has a negative effect. I mean, there's some liberal people. I mean, they love the celebrities that end up becoming Republican or flirt with the truth community, but they hate these celebrities, right? When these celebrities speak out, it makes it like these pedos, right? These Jeffrey Epstein going pedos are against Trump. Trump must be doing something right. And Trump is just all about galvanizing his base, as are the Republicans, because this is no longer trying to win anybody else over. And so it has no bearing, it has no effect. Celebrities are speaking out? Well, so this is going to end soon.
Because those people have huge platforms, and also they have the power of social media on their side. Think about
You think that Kim Kardashian fans are going to do something? Do you honestly fucking think that Kim Kardashian, people watch Kardashians, are going to be able to do something because Kim Kardashian spoke up about it? What are they going to do? Retweet her post? Like, she's stupid, and they're even stupider. What do you think they're going to do? Like, an army of Kardashian fans are going to come out and somehow stop Trump? Like, what are you talking about? Like, they just have no concept what's going on here. Like, just totally clueless. People are watching this guy like he's, relevant.
The hundreds of millions of people that they have. And I think it's time to stand up, kneel down, lay down, but speak out.
Wait, which was it? Stand up, lay down, or kneel down? Which is it?
I mean, lay down like if you have to, do some sort of peaceful protesting. But
glad you clarified that, Don, because it sounded like you're telling she should start prostituting herself for Donald Trump.
I don't think it's time to sit around anymore because what is happening.
But lay down.
This parade, the way that they're cracking down on protests, I think this is un-American and it is unconstitutional, and I think people need to use their voices.
Use their voices. That's what he says all the time. That you don't think there's enough talking out there? Everybody uses their voices. Everyone has social media. And there's lots of people that are speaking up about whatever they believe on social media. Nobody gives a fuck. And it doesn't affect anybody because it's just talk. Like, there's nothing to stop here, right? There's nothing that can be stopped here. There's a time where I want to talk about this a lot. Hopefully I'll remember to talk about this. I'll probably bring it up on the other channel as well. There's a time where you can change something, where it hasn't, there's things that are inevitable in your life and in the world history, and everything just sort of goes towards it, and everything that needs to happen to make it happen will happen. Like things are already happening in the future, when time is cyclical. But there is ways that you can change things or mitigate something or avoid something. There's times that the powers that be rewrite the script. The script can be rewritten, like there's a destiny, but it can be, by divine beings that are doing God's work, see that something has to be changed, or, something has to be elongated or mitigated in some way. I mean, there's things that can be changed destiny-wise, and there's things that can be avoided. And you can see this in your life. Like, you're given warnings, like some guy who's an alcoholic. And in the early stages, he can still salvage his his marriage. He can still salvage his relationship with his kids. He can still maybe not lose his job, right? Like in the early stages of the alcoholism. But then at a certain point, like that's all gone. You're going scorched earth and it's already happened, right? And so, we're in a time where there's no stopping anything. These things are going to happen. They have to happen. It's the same thing with AI, and I'll talk about this more in the other channel. AI is like that. Like there's people out there who know AI better than anybody. This godfather of AI that I'm going to cover on the Apocalypse Now channel, linked in the description box, next couple days. And so when you have people like that coming out and saying there's a possibility AI will kill us, and there's another possibility they'll just, dumb us down and wipe us out in terms of our abilities and, these things, and take our jobs and, destroy civilization as we now know it. Like there's these possibilities, and he gave a 10 to 20% chance of AI doing the go in full Terminator. And so that's going to happen. They're not going to stop doing what AI does. They're going to not stop with AI. They're not going to put any safeguards on it. They never do that. Same thing with nuclear weapons, right? Their nuclear weapons were built, and now we got them, and eventually they're going to be used. And the Earth is going to suffer. Humanity is going to suffer. It's just going to happen. It's already done. And so that's where we're at. Like we're in that stage. And he's like, use your voice. Everyone needs to use their voice. You're 15 years behind, right? Because there was a time where speaking up, the people thought there would be some kind of information war. There'd be some awareness, and that people would get it and put pressure either politically or economically on their leaders. But the system itself is so fucked, it's so upside down economically and morally. We've degraded so much. There's the idiocracy, like all the things that are there, the population density, and the all of the unsustainable aspects of our society. The people that run the planet know it. They know that there's no option. They can't, give Americans lifestyle that will wreck the rest of the world faster than it's being wrecked now. They can't keep your lifestyle going when we're so too resource heavy. And so this is all the stuff we've heard in the WEF about you'll own nothing and love it. Like you'll own nothing and be happy with it, because that's the best deal you're going to get. So how bad things are going to get, so you'll get to that point. But use your voice, because if the Kardashians, go say something on Instagram or Twitter, because you're going to change the world. Say, hey, Trump's protest stuff is not right, and that's going to affect something. Like people get their news from this fucking guy, right? So here's Don Lemon's being a little bit right about something, or be on the right side of something, but still not knowing what to say or what it's about, right?
Warning. Citizens of Tehran should leave immediately. That is the warning from Donald Trump just before he left the G7 summit in Canada early to deal with the escalating situation in Israel and Iran. They are firing back and forth. Israel now saying that it has complete control over Iranian skies. This situation is getting worse and developing, so stay tuned. Warning.
Stay tuned. Like, you have nothing to say about it. I mean, he's kind of, he's always going to be against Trump. But, he doesn't know what to say here. Like, that's all. He's like, he's talking about Trump's tweet, which I'll get into in a moment. And so this is what's really going on there, in terms of, all of it. Okay, it's Lemon Nation. Like, he thinks he has a nation, that there's a Lemon Nation. And that somehow, just because his last name is Lemon, like being a lemon, lemon is a car that doesn't work. Like, you buy a new car and you have to fix it immediately because it never works right. Like, he's a total lemon. But he thinks there's a nation of people behind him, like like he's a movement, like he's so brilliant in his remedial takes that are not just wrong but so clueless.
They want you dead. That's the top comment, at least on the stories and the posts that you see about RFK Jr. has just fired his entire panel of vaccine experts.
They want you dead. So he's thinking that he's a truther, and that these people who are speaking truth to power, that when RFK Jr. fired his vaccine experts, that he's trying to kill everybody. Ignoring Tuskegee, ignoring all the like big pharma bullshit that's happened, ignoring all the medical stuff, all the COVID stuff and the science, the bullshit science they put out there, and the way that they, the power that was behind that, where they deplatformed anybody who was, even doctors who were calling bullshit on the policies that we now know are bullshit. Like, this is somebody who is so clueless, he has no idea that everyone else kind of knows now. Even the most, there's some people still wearing fucking masks, right? But everyone else knows that it was bullshit, that it was fucking completely bullshit, and that the pharmaceutical companies, which was the power here that paid his salary, his $20 million buy-off, $24 million buy-off that CNN paid him just to go away. He was still on salary. And so if you're a business and you're struggling financially, your ratings are down, and you take a guy off the nighttime show where he's making, millions of dollars a year, and put him on the morning show because you don't want to just get rid of him and then have to pay him his salary. He's under contract, so he's getting paid no matter what. He's got guaranteed money. And so, they were trying to do anything just to have him fill a slot. But he was so bad on the morning show, he only lasted like 2 or 3 months. The ratings tanked, and he pissed off all of his colleagues, and he said controversial, dumb shit. So they booted him, and they had to pay him off. They fired him for cause for some of the things he said derogatory towards women and some of these things. When he said that woman who was running for president from South Carolina, I'll think of her name in a second, but he said that she's past her prime, because she said that Donald Trump was past his prime, and he said, well, women, they're past their prime, and just that was his take, right? Nikki Haley, what I call Hickey Nally, Hickey Nally. He said she's past her prime, and his coworkers got so pissed at him, like the women he was working with, that he would say a woman who is 20 years younger than Donald Trump is past her prime, and for no reason, like, this doesn't make any sense. And he thought that was a great take, right? And a bunch of other shit happened where he embarrassed the network, so they had to fire him and eat his salary. And then he went to Elon Musk, and Elon Musk thought he would, have some liberal, some sort of, counterbalance to the conservative shit that was on Twitter, so that they would have somebody like Don Lemons. And Don Lemons was so horrible in the interview that he realized this guy's an idiot. And he wanted $8 million in a fucking Tesla truck, which is stupid in itself. Those Tesla trucks look horrible. And so, so this guy, and he doesn't even know that most people understand that the medical shit that was pushed on us was wrong. Like, that's a big reason why the Democrats lost. Like, the whole shutting down COVID, they know it all came from them. Like, Trump capitulated, like, Trump got worked, but it came from the left, and it was a big cash grab. And, like, people don't like Fauci. Like, this, it's gone south. All the things that they said, all the prejudice they put out there, right? And so, he has this take, and he's oblivious to all the things that have happened since, right? There's a time where we're all predicting the future. We're all saying what we think is going to happen. All of us who do this, whether we do it on the internet or you do it with your friends and family, and you don't know what's going to happen, but you bet on something. Like, I bet on, not getting the vax, right? Like, I got COVID 3 times, and I'm in better shape and health now. And I got COVID twice before the vax was even out, right? And so I was, I knew my natural immunity was already there. And not that I would have, I don't do that. Like, I don't take vaxes. And so I don't believe in them. And so, and I believe the opposite about them. So, but that was me betting on something, right? Like, you can't know for sure. I could be dead right now. Like, based on everything everyone's saying, it could have went that way. And I would have been wrong, right? I would have been, or I would have suffered, whatever. And I would have been like, oh, yeah, and the vax could have been like a miracle that they said it was going to be. And so there could have been that outcome. Like, we never know how it's going to go in the future, but we make our best guesses and we make our decisions. And so that's beforehand. Then shit happens. And it goes a certain way, and then everyone kind of realizes, oh, it didn't go the way these people said it did, but it went the way we said it did, right? And the truth community has always been, the real truthers, not bullshit fucking fake truthers or Trumpers and Cubies and woke people on the left, not these extremists, not these, political people who are all, the Democrats are right and the Republicans are wrong. The people who are real truthers, who are accepting that the system is rigged on a much deeper level. And, and then you can take it to another extent, which I've done here, that the people running the system has no choice but to do what they're doing because the system would collapse anyway, or because of them, doing the right thing. If they were good people doing honest, good things, the system would collapse. They would come out and say, the system's hurting the environment. We're getting dumber and weaker. We don't know what the fuck AI is going to do. We're destroying the rest of the species on this planet. We're fucking the environment up. And we're pieces of shit, whiny, entitled pieces of shit. We should just stop. We should go back. I know you guys all are addicted to your lifestyle, but really it's not worth going on. We're not happy. We're not evolving. We're fucking up the planet. We should just stop. We're going to collapse the economy. Everyone's fucking going to have to learn to, those of you who survive. But, we have to go back to the fucking, the technology is not, we're not ready for this. The technology has hurt us. It's taken us in the wrong direction. It's made us more entitled, weaker, more selfish, the economy. It doesn't work. It's, it's a failed experiment. Let's call it, right? It is a failed experiment. And that's what people would say, right? That's what the leaders would say. And, how many people would accept that? And they've just killed those guys and put in people that weren't going to say that because they're not going to say that anyway. No, they don't want to say that. But, in terms of everyone calling them evil, they're the people that are keeping your shitty system going. And so it's stupid to think, oh, they're deep staters or this, this is what has to be done to keep a demonic system going. A demonic system you're 100% dependent on. Stop fucking whining. And so there's a level of being a truther where you're just, stop demonizing everybody else. And unless you're ready to lower your footprint and reduce your consumption and reduce your, whatever it is, then shut the fuck up and just let the evil shit run its evil course, which inevitably will collapse because it goes against God's will. Admit we're all going against God's will and we don't want to fucking change. And so, stop being an asshole about it. Like you're so much better than everybody else. And so, that's a whole another level to being a truther, of being honest about yourself and what's going on here. And so, this guy is so far away from that that he still thinks that they're trying to kill us, like that Kennedy stuff is trying to kill us.
Why? Beats me. Maybe it's because he is a reported anti-vaxxer. Maybe it's because he doesn't believe in establishment and conspiracy theorists. Or
maybe he doesn't believe in conspiracy theorists, or that he is a conspiracy theorist. You didn't even get that right. You shit on your own line and shitting on conspiracy theorists. But that's how remedial this guy is. Look at him. Look at this, how dumb he is. Look at his fucking dumb face. Look at his fucking, there's just nothing here. There's nothing going on here. He's so fucking clueless. And people listen to him. He gets whatever amount of views. He got 26,000 views here. And so, he gets tens of thousands of views on a lot of his videos. And so, it's not a lot for somebody who used to have a big platform. But he should get no views, other than people mocking him and laughing at him. There should be nobody that's going, Don Lemon is fucking, boy, this guy's cracked the code. Right?
Or maybe it's because they don't really want you to know what's happening. They don't want you to know the truth. They want to
What is the truth?
control everything. Firing experts?
You know who wants to control everything? Big Pharma. Big Pharma's got a control over your medical life, like the food industry and Big Pharma and all these things. They are putting out poisonous shit that is negatively affects your body, and then you need other things to take to combat their other pharmaceutical shit, and you're a lifelong customer. And the food system makes you into that. They don't want you to know the truth. Well, who doesn't want you to know the truth? What, Kennedy? What are you talking about? I mean, you're not getting money from Pfizer now. You're just following, at least I don't think he is. And he's just like, and he's trying to work it out in his fucking little pea brain here.
For vaccines? Firing experts in Washington, D.C. because Doge is trying to save money, which they didn't?
You know, if you listen to Kennedy, his reason would be that those people are all Big Pharma shills. Now, I haven't heard him talk about this, and I know that the left-wing media cover it this way. And so his, they use pseudoscience to push the vaccine like they're not good science. That's what his story is. It's not about Doge, right? Like they're gutting some of these, agencies because these agencies are tied. People have jobs in the public sector. They have jobs that they work at the CDC or the NIH like Fauci, but they also have deals with Big Pharma on the personal level. They got like side hustles, and so they're completely owned by Big Pharma, right? Just like the medical community has been what they call captured by this, it's a for-profit medicine. We all know what it does, right? I saw it with my parents. My parents were dying. They keep you alive long enough till all your insurance and your money's gone, and then they let you die. A miserable death because you're not even living anything like resembles a normal human life. But they can keep you alive with these different fucking type of drugs and shit that prevent these failures of one thing but cause failure in something else, and eventually it catches up to you and you're just miserable. You don't die a natural death. I mean, many of you have seen it with your loved ones and elderly people in your life. And even young people have turbo cancer and the rest of it, right? And so this guy, right, trying to work it out.
Elections have consequences, and sadly, this is the one that we have come to.
Okay, let's watch this whole thing again from beginning to end.
These are our consequences. They want you dead. That's the top comment, at least on the stories and the posts that you see about RFK Jr. has just fired his entire panel of vaccine experts.
So now he's going to try to come up with why he did that. Why? And then he doesn't know. Like he hasn't thought this thing out. So he's trying to work it out right now.
Why? Beats me. Maybe it's because he is a reported anti-vaxxer. Maybe it's because he doesn't believe in establishment and conspiracy theorists. Or maybe it's because they don't really want you to know what's happening. They don't want you to know the truth. They want to control everything. Firing experts for vaccines? Firing experts in Washington, D.C. because Doge is trying to save money, which they didn't? Elections have consequences, and sadly, this is the one that we have come to.
Yeah, this is, you're fucking being on the internet has consequences. The internet is getting stupider and stupider, right? YouTube is, at least, and his other platforms. But, like, he can't work it out. Like, he's trying to figure out what's the motivation here. And he doesn't know the official story, which is the number one thing. This separates me from a lot of people because I understand and I work to understand the official story. And I often tell you what the official story is. I say, this is what they say, and it doesn't add up. This is what I think it is, or whatever it might be. And, but he just doesn't have the gray matter for it. He can't do it, right? Let's go back to his anti-vaxxer comment here. That's hysterical. I'll show you that meme in a second, but first, that's his merch, Lemon Nation merch. Like, people are buying Lemon Nation merch. I mean, I suppose, like, somebody does. People walking around wearing Lemon Nation merch. Okay, here's the meme with Chris Cuomo's and this dope.
I think we have to stop coddling people when it comes to this and the vaccine, saying, oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are. The people who aided and abetted Trump are stupid because they believed his big lie. The people who are not getting vaccines, who are believing the lies on the internet instead of science, it's time to start shaming them. What else? Or leave them behind. Because they are keeping the majority of Americans behind.
I'm going to go through a series of video clips here.
Markets had to field so many headlines over the weekend. Talk about how you're viewing the current framework right now.
Well, this is different than previous conflicts. This is different than previous exchanges of fire between Israel and Iran. This is much more like an open war between Israel and Iran.
It's a total war. It is a total fucking war. And what did I say? I said Israel had to go for it. All right, so this is, me saying that this is Israel's chance to go for it. And so they didn't stop at Gaza. They didn't back out. They whatever bullshit hostage excuse. But then they even invaded the West Bank. They took down the leader of Syria, assassinated the leader of Syria. This is what they're doing to the, the greater Israeli area that I show you all the time. The Zionist idea of Israel. They're attacking all the areas around Israel right now. They're basically starting wars with all their fucking enemies. And so my idea, again, this is just me saying this is, what I'm reading here, is that they know America's going down. So Israel has to become a global power on their own. And this is their chance, like to use America while America still has some military power and the rest of it. So they're completely going for it. Like this is them panicking or saying we have to do this right now. This is our window. Our window is closing. And I said it, it's happening. And the proof is overwhelming here. Let me get into it here.
We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. We're looking for better than a ceasefire.
What's better than a ceasefire? Oh, it's right here.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here? An end, a real end, not a ceasefire. An end. So something that will be permanent. Yeah. Or giving up entirely. Is that okay too? Are you close there? Is that possible? Is that possible in the next 24? Why not? Certainly possible.
So he's saying giving up entirely, which means you're going to be dragged into a war with Iran, right? Here's the last part of that.
We'll come down so hard if they do anything to our people. We'll come down so hard that the gloves are off so beautifully. Now,
you mean the gloves are off? Like it'll be like a war? Like we'll do like what we do any other time? And so the Iranians would be moronic to attack America because they're kind of getting their ass kicked by Israel right now in terms of body count. Now, Iran is a massive country. They have 91 million and Israel has 9 million. And so it's a much bigger country. They have, more natural resources and they have a very, big military. If they get into some sort of a military conflict, they would crush Israel's military. Their military is bigger than, practically Israel's whole population. And, with the backing of Russia, which would, they already have a deal with Russia, there would be war between America and Russia. So this is that what he's saying. Israel started this war. And so, again, it would behoove Netanyahu to do false flag stuff against America, which Israel's done before. We did USS Liberty and other things to attack their friend and blame it on, or if you go back to the big event 2001, the 5 dancing Israelis, they were pulled over by a cop, and one of them had $6,000 in his sock, and they were shown videotaping the buildings coming down and slapping hands and jumping up and down like they were, agents of the Israeli government. And they were Israeli citizens that were in New York to document that event. And you can find, maybe videos that still exist about that. And they were pulled over by some cop, and they said, don't pull over us, we're your friends. It's the Palestinians who did that. They were trying to blame Palestine for not. So, it would make total sense that they would do something against America to draw America into the war. Who wants America into the war? Israel, right? Like that's like everyone should know that going into it.
I think they know not to touch our troops.
Yeah, so maybe someone else will do a false flag thing. All right, so that's the first thing.
As Caitlin Collins, who's in Canada with the president, got word that he's cutting his trip short there from the G7 and returning to Washington tonight, further amplifying the notion that the U.S. may be getting involved in the fight. We don't know for sure yet. In addition to all of that, there was this today from Israel's prime minister saying he would not rule out a strike on Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei.
Khamenei.
So are you going to target the supreme leader?
Look, we're doing what we need to do. I'm not going to get into the details, but we've targeted their top nuclear scientists. It's basically Hitler's nuclear team.
But U.S.
It's basically Hitler's nuclear team.
officials tell us that the president flatly rejected a plan, an opportunity that the Israelis had to take out the supreme leader. Do you understand his concern? My understanding is his concern is that this would escalate the conflict beyond where it is already.
It's not going to escalate the conflict. It's going to end the conflict.
It's going to end the conflict.
Conflict so far has taken at least 24 lives in Israel, 224 in Iran, according to authorities in each country. But it's that evacuation warning from the president tonight and what it could mean, which starts us off. CNN Chief White House correspondent Caitlin Collins is in Canada, has some new reporting on it. She joins us from Calgary, Alberta. What is the White House saying about President Trump's declaration that everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran, and then the word that he's coming back to the White House?
Yeah. And
okay, so the G7 economic conference is kind of important. And we are in kind of an economic war with Canada, and it's in Canada. And there's all the tariff stuff. And he's supposed to be an economic president, president who's going to change the economy. And he's supposed to be making deals with all these countries. And this would be a good chance to talk about it, unless he doesn't want to, because they're all like, fuck you. We don't know about that end of it. But he should not be leaving that conference, because there's nothing that he needs to do in Washington, D.C. he can't do there. And we have all this technology, and he's not going to press the fucking nuclear button. And so it's silly, right? I mean, maybe they don't think they can protect him in Canada, or he might be more subjective to an assassination attempt in Canada, something like that from Iran. But, that's kind of silly. So, him coming back is saying that Israel, who's fucked him, Netanyahu's fucked his whole military parade thing and his birthday, and is just ignoring everything. And I'll get into why that is in a moment. But he's screwing Trump over, and Trump is capitulating. He's talking tough with Iran, but Israel's the one who's the aggressor here, unnecessarily so. And I'll get into that in a moment. And he's just like he is with Russia and the Ukraine. He's always on the side of the bully. Now, I believe that Russia has a much more compelling case than Israel for doing what they did in the Ukraine. Like, they were pushed into a war. But, Russia is the more dominant of the two militaries, and Trump's always on the side of the bully and says, you guys have no leverage. You're going to get your asses kicked. You should just give us everything we want. Like, that's what a fucking dictator and a tyrant says. Not just for himself, but for other countries. He looks at the country that's weaker and says, oh, you guys are in a fucking worse negotiating position. Stop being a dick and just go, put your tail between your legs and get fucked, right? So,
Anderson, it's hard to see how those are not tied together, because the White House specifically cited what is happening in the Middle East for why President Trump is cutting his trip here in Canada short. I flew with President Trump on Air Force One yesterday. He arrived late last night in Calgary to head to this summit with world leaders. He had an entire day of meetings scheduled for tomorrow, including a meeting, I should note, with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Okay, so that all that stuff, right? Okay, so that's the first piece. So this is Tuesday, June 17th, and it's around noon here when I'm making this video. So this will be up tomorrow. And as of right now, it's the middle of the night there or whatever. This is the latest stuff from CNN about it.
In full here, he says, following the state of Israel's preemptive strike against Iran, a missile and drone attack against the state of Israel and its civilian population is expected in the immediate future. Two important parts to that sentence there. First, the defense minister is acknowledging that Israel has carried out what he calls a preemptive strike against Iran. This is what we've been looking for over the course of the past days, and frankly, something the U.S. has been tracking for several weeks now, the possibility that Israel will carry out a strike.
Okay, so the first thing about this is preemptive strike. So Obama did a deal with Iran that Israel hated. And Israel did not strike Iran then. Like, what Israel felt was it was a weak deal. Remember, Trump said what a weak deal it was and how bad negotiator Obama was. And he got rid of that deal immediately. And what Israel's point of view was that they were still doing nuclear enrichment and were still moving towards a nuclear weapon. And they would never let them get to that point. And they hated that deal, but they didn't dare bomb Iran like they're doing now. And Iran was much closer and doing things. They were in a much worse situation, right? So this preemptive strike is on the heels of, or in the middle of, Trump negotiating a deal with Iran that was going to be similar to the Obama deal. And so Trump might have been very close to getting a deal done, and he was telling them to wait, and there was no reason for them to go, right? There was no more pertinent reason right now to go and bomb Iran in a preemptive strike than there was any time before. Iran's nuclear development and enrichment program has always been about the same, and they're always about 2 weeks away. They've stopped 2 weeks short of getting a bomb because they know once they get a bomb, then there's going to be war. And so, there's nothing that they're doing now that they haven't already accomplished. And so it isn't like they're just about to build a bomb and Netanyahu says these are Hitler's scientists, all that bullshit. This has been going on for many years. And he wouldn't have bombed them, especially in the middle of a negotiation with a president, because anybody else would get pissed at them. I mean, Trump is such their fucking puppet. I mean, he's such a fucking, moronic person, idiot, that they don't respect him so much. They think they own him. And plus, I said they're on the clock. So the only thing that's different now is their window is closing. They know America's fucked. They know America's going to collapse. And once America is done, they are, left out there with a small population of people in a small country surrounded by Muslim countries that hate them for very valid reasons, right? Because they've done a lot of bullshit to the other countries. And the other piece of this is if Iran completed a nuclear weapon and dropped it on Israel, America would bomb the shit out of them and Iran would no longer exist. It would destroy Iran. So Iran, even with the nuclear weapon, has, they can do these little proxy wars or whatever they say. I don't even know if those are real or not. Whatever their little groups of people that they claim are always attacking Israel in a very, a bitch way that doesn't really result in anything. But, there's no way that they would do anything big. And they've, America was trying to push them into a war multiple times with Iran, and Iran just didn't want any part of that. And so they're well aware of, they are focused on their own survival. I mean, over the years with different presidents. And they kept on pushing them, and they just won't, they've accepted a lot of bullshit from both Israel and America because they know they don't stand a chance. And they don't, whatever Russia has dissuaded them of doing things so they don't create World War III. They don't provoke World War III and nuclear war. And still they keep on going after them. And there's these neocons. Their goal was always to get Iran. And these neocons who Trump said he hated and who are Republicans but made a deal to be with Joe Biden, possibly a deal to rig the election for Joe Biden, these neoconservatives, and they were running all this Ukraine-Russia shit. And so they're the aggressor. America and Israel and the Ukraine are all the aggressor towards Russia and Iran. Like they're much more reasonable. I mean, not that I'm saying they have good leadership or whatever, but they're more reasonable. And so Israel had no real reason to go do this now other than to sabotage Trump's talks, right? They're not trying to motivate Iran. They're just saying, they don't want peace there. They always want to go with wars with Iran, and they want America to be involved because they can't beat Iran in a real war with their military. And so this is a big fuck you to Trump because Trump said, don't do that. I'm negotiating something. And they said, fuck you, we're going to do it anyway. and we're going to shit all over your fucking birthday party, military parade, and we're going to shit all over the G7 because fuck you, we own you. Get over here, bitch. Right?
Strike against Iran. There are some social media reports of explosions happening in Tehran. Unclear what the targets are of those. There's still a lot more information we need there. But Israel's defense minister has acknowledged that they have carried out strikes against Iran. The first time in months that we have seen direct Israeli action against targets in Tehran. Again, unclear what those targets are, whether it's Iranian nuclear facilities or other targets. So we will wait to learn more about that. But following that, the defense minister has said that Homefront Command has essentially shifted the entire country into an emergency status, and that the population here is expected to follow the instructions of Homefront Command. A short time ago, we heard...
Look at him, look like he's really interested. He's probably not even thinking about what the guy's saying.
Sirens going off here in Jerusalem behind us. We got messages on our phone related to those sirens saying Homefront Command is putting the country on alert, and the defense minister is saying that Israel expects an imminent...
It's Oren Lieberman.
...missile and drone attack incoming following Israel's strikes against Iran. I will also read a statement we've gotten from Israel's military, the Israel Defense Forces, that says, following the situational assessment, it was determined that as of today at 3 in the morning, immediate changes will be made to the Homefront Command guidelines. As part of the changes, it was decided to shift all areas of the countries from full activity to essential activity, and that brings with it a prohibition on educational activities, gatherings, and workplaces, except for essential sectors. So you see the immediate shift coming from the government and from the military and the defense minister in light of what they expect to be a potential large-scale response and retaliation from Iran that may be incoming, at least according to the statement we're seeing here, imminently here. And of course, you have to note the timing here. The U.S. was still intending to carry out nuclear talks, a 6th round with Iran just in the coming days here on Sunday in Oman. This is a remarkable move from Israel to...
Not remarkable, it's a fuck you move. It's a fuck you move to Trump. And they're not keeping Trump in the loop, but they're just doing shit. You know, Trump saying, you better get out of Tehran. I think they're going to do things. You guys got to evacuate your cities. And, and he's being pulled into this thing. And, he's talking shit about, if they try to do anything to us, we'll be in a second. We're just saying to Netanyahu, do a false flag against us. So we have to go into the war. I mean, think about what will happen if America gets involved in this war. What is Russia going to do? What's the rest of the world going to do? And this is, this is all their wet dreams. John Bolton, the rest of these people, the neocons, they've been waiting for this. And Israel didn't have to do this. They didn't have to do it because nothing changes. Nothing was imminent. The only thing that is going to change is America's status. Like I said, and when America goes down, Israel's sitting there like a turtle without its fucking shell. Without American money and American military support. They're parasitic, in terms of their relationship with us. Without any of that shit, America collapses. Then Israel's just sitting there, exposed to all these people that all these countries are wanting to destroy it, right? So this is why they're going for it. I talked about this in the beginning, as soon as Trump was elected, and after October 7th and all this stuff that happened with Palestine. This is their last chance to go full Zionist and grab all that land, the promised land, right?
Eventually cut those off and carry out this series of strikes that will have reverberations across the region from this moment, from the impact of what's happening right now. We will certainly wait to see, Anderson, what more we learn about the strikes themselves, as of course we wait to see in anticipation of what happens where we are in Jerusalem and across the country here.
Oren, we, as you said, we have seen strikes in the past from Israel, but those were more in response to strikes from Iran. Do you know anything about? I mean, and the targeting of that seemed very precise to my memory the last time. This seems different. No.
What do you mean? Of course it's. What the fuck are you talking about? They said they're declaring war, basically.
It does, and it depends on what was targeted, and that's what we don't know yet. The last time we saw Israel strike Iran, they went after ballistic missile facilities and air defenses. The time before that was a smaller set of targets, essentially just to say, hey, these are the capabilities we have. This is what we're capable of. This potentially much bigger. What the U.S. was looking for here, frankly, what the world was looking for and concerned about, was whether Israel would make the decision to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. There were concerns here about not only what was shaping up to be the nuclear negotiations, but also the existence of the negotiations themselves. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with President Donald Trump earlier this week. Trump told Netanyahu, scale back on the threatening rhetoric, scale back on the warnings of an attack against Iran and the threat of military action. Clearly, that message was not taken to heart by Israel.
He just fucking ignored him, right? I mean, Trump gets his nuts clipped, and he's not as the way he dealt with Elon Musk. Trump is not. I mean, he's not as fighty as he used to be. He's not as aggressive, and he's fighting all these battles. He's all over the place. He wants to take Greenland from Denmark. He wants to annex Canada. He wants to fight for the Panama Canal. He's doing all the tariffs things, a big one. He's talking shit about Russia and the Ukraine and all that shit, and now this. And he's spread thin all over the place. Too much bullshit. There's dissent at home. And Israel said, fuck it, we're going to go for it. We don't give a shit what you're saying. I mean, it's just like it's a big fuck you to Trump on every level. The other thing is, to get to Iran's real nuclear program, it's, buried deep in, they need a bunker busting bombs to penetrate deep enough into wherever they have these facilities. And they don't have the B-52 bombers or whatever it is, and they don't have the bombs, Israel. So they need America to drop those bombs on the nuclear program. And, we'll see when that happens, or if that happens, or, where we're heading. But that means America's at war, and they're just, capitulating with everything Netanyahu's doing. Like, Netanyahu's not listening to them. He's forcing America's hand. And, if the Iranians attack Americans, like some bullshit false flag thing that Israel does, attack Americans, and then Trump is forced to do something because he's already run his fucking mouth, why would they bomb their nuclear facility? That's what Israel wants, right? Like, and then, I mean, maybe Iran's like saying, fuck it, we'll just complete the bombs now. And what if they go and drop a bomb on Israel? Like, fucking, a small-ass place like that, obliterate it. Like, that would be it, So, I mean, there's and I don't know if they have the capability of doing that themselves, but they have a huge military, and they have, more military than there'd be a different fight than Iraq. And, that would mean America, when we're in a crisis of so many different ways, would have to mobilize all these troops to fight a real war. And then what happens with Russia? When Russia says, fuck you, and then comes after, Israel and America, because then it's a totally different thing, right? So it's kind of fucked. I mean, on lots of levels.
Here. And Netanyahu tried to make the point that Iran was not serious about the negotiations, according to a source familiar with the conversations, and that they were just buying.
Yeah, but okay, they could have waited till the negotiations broke down. Like, there was no rush. There was no rush to do this. There was nothing like Iran was secretly building a bomb while they were negotiating. Like, they can, like I said, they can complete a bomb anytime they want. They know once they do that, they're fucked. Maybe they even have a bomb. So, like, why not have America? And see, they don't want America to get a deal. They've said it. And so he's like, well, I'll just blow up the negotiations in case something happens, and get America involved now while Trump's weak and America's going down.
Time. That speaks to the level of concern Israel had about Iran's intentions, and that led to what you see here. We'll wait to see what more we learn about the targets of these strikes, but Israel has made it clear, and Netanyahu specifically has made it clear, that he has tried to put on the table a credible military option against Iran's nuclear program.
Or in standby, I just want to bring in CNN's senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes in Washington. Kristen, are you hearing anything from the Trump administration?
No, we have reached out, but I will tell you that I talked to a number of White House officials who seem to be on heightened alert that this could come tonight. I was told this was going around the building, that this was a possible expectation for this evening. Now, of course, we believed that to be the case, or at least that there was some heightened intel coming in, given the fact that
Israel might be telling them, this is what we're going to do. Fuck you, we're not listening to you, this is what we're doing. And, like that's just, it just wouldn't have happened any time before. Trump wants to talk about how they respect him more than other presidents, and Netanyahu's just making him his little bitch. He's making Trump his bitch right in front of the world. Like the rest of the world knows this, because he didn't do it under Biden, who was senile. They didn't do it under Obama or George W. Bush. The Bush and the Bush people were pushing for war with Iran, so that was the last time that was happening. Then Obama made the deal with Iran, and once they made the deal with Iran, if Israel bombed Iran, then it would be like, well, you're kind of, we have a deal, like fucking all that shit. Trump got rid of that deal with Netanyahu, creamed his pants over, and now, that was his first Trump of 1.0, and now, Netanyahu's going for it, which should indicate to everyone else that there's some desperation there. Right? Like, so it is, the desperation isn't Iran is closer to destroying Israel. The desperation is that America is going to be collapsed in the near future. And Israel's like, fuck it, they're out exposed, like I said, a turtle with no shell. And so their desperation is to get this done while America still has a military. Get America to fight their battles for them and destroy all their neighbors and embolden all that shit. Again, if America has to mobilize, what happened in Afghanistan when we left? Either you have to leave troops there or you leave your equipment. And so if America mobilizes for a big-ass war with Iran and Russia, they're going to leave their military equipment there for Israel to just grab, right? Israel will have everything that's left over from the war, and or whatever. There'll be some permanent American military base there until there isn't. And so they've just completely punked Trump. Like Netanyahu's just fucking punked Trump and the Trumpers. Let's see what the Trumpers are saying. Okay, so one of my viewers sent me this girl who's like one of those Instagram model influencers who's just an Israeli shill. Really in a way that's just, it's, the C word comes to mind, and just, it's grotesque. But while I was, after I recorded that, I went with a walk with my dogs, and this video with Jon Stewart came up. And he has some of these clips here that I had seen before.
And by next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage.
So there's a couple of things here. The first one is that this is from 2012. He's at the UN, and there's two more clips I have to show you. And so he's been saying this shit forever. And Jon Stewart's segment is about why now, because this has already been established. So the first piece is, why now? The second piece I'll get to. Let's watch these clips first.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
So this is 2016. He's back at the UN, right? So, and I've seen these clips before. Like, I'm glad that this was here for me to show you. But, I've seen these. They're always talking about this.
I'm not being facetious. I really want to know why we had to bomb Iran now.
Who's we? You an Israeli citizen? Well, who's we? Because we're not, this idea they're friends of Israel. Well, is Israel friends with America? They want us to be friends, right? But are they friends? Like, are they our friends when they steal our nuclear secrets and bomb our ships and take our taxpayer monies and get us into wars and What kind of friend is that, right? But he's saying we, like, it's not we. Like, he's pretending to be against this thing. I mean, he's saying, it didn't have to be this way because, all the things I've said before. I mean, he's not saying that because, he won't. But, of course, it didn't have to be now. Unless it had to be now. And if it had to be now, it isn't because of what Iran was doing. It's because America's days are numbered.
We're going to show you Iran's secret nuclear files. Here's the warhead. Here's the bomb.
So the second piece to this is who gets to decide who has nuclear weapons or not, right? So, I covered this with Gaddafi. Gaddafi was considered the madman of the Middle East. Remember, he was Libyans featured as, in the Back to the Future movie, the Brown character, Dr. Brown, Jim Ignatowski from Taxi Guy, bought uranium to run the DeLorean time machine, but didn't have the money to pay the Iranians. And so he's saying that he got enriched uranium from the Libyans, and the Libyans came and shot him. Remember, that was the whole thing, and killed him, and Marty McFly had the chance to save his life, even though he wasn't supposed to. And so, the Libyans were shown as the bad guys here. I mean, some of the bad guys, Biff, but they were murderous. But, he stole uranium from them. And why they would sell it to some professor, it's silly. But, the movie, the guy was dating his mom. I mean, it was a fucked up movie, right? But anyways, Libyans were often portrayed in the movies as being the villains, and Gaddafi was a bad guy. And Gaddafi decided, he was great for his people. Like, I have a whole playlist. I have a whole, compilation of all these pictures about, I'm not showing those here. This is a video I made when this came out called Land Grab, which we'll come back to in a moment. The clips that you're seeing here is from an old video called Land Grab. And Gaddafi got 70% approval from his people. He took Libya from the poorest country in Africa. So there was this guy, King Aziz, that was put in by Italy. They never had a king until this guy. And this guy was a puppet for Italy and Europe and these other countries. And he bankrupted the country. They were the poorest country in all of Africa, even though they were resource rich. And the people were suffering. And Gaddafi was in charge of the military. King Aziz went overseas to visit Europe or one of these places. And Gaddafi said, don't come back. And so he took over the country. And so they didn't like that, but the guy was great for his people. They had these Millennium Development Goals, and he was one of the few leaders in countries, these so-called developing countries, that was on schedule to achieve all of them by 2015. So he took the country from the poorest country per capita household income to the richest country. And he did all these other things like that, rights of women, having public and private partnerships, bringing in corporate interests, opening a country up to the world. He developed this greening of the desert where he drilled for glacial waters and pulled them up to the surface and started to, grow food. And it's a technology that they ended up bombing with depleted uranium and wrecking it and making these people suffer, right? And for no reason. Like, he wasn't doing anything wrong. He gave up his weapons of mass destruction. He gave up his, all of the things that they said he should give up, and they took him out. And so that said to everybody else, he was trying to sell oil for a gold dinar, which was his right. But because of that, the UN said take him out because he's trying to get rid of the petrodollar, which could have caused global economic collapse and things like this, where he was selling oil in a gold dinar, an Arab gold dinar, instead of dollars. And he was trying to get everyone else to do that, and they killed him, to set an example. But that's an economic fucking bullshit thing, right? And so America dropped atomic bombs on Japan, and Israel has done horrific things. They've bullied and destroyed a population of people in Palestine and has an open-air prison, basically concentration camps, after whining about what's happened to them for so many years, and then doing the same thing to somebody else, right? And so, like, it's horrible stuff. And so showing that you're no better than the Iranians, and, I'll show you that stuff in a minute with Operation Ajax. And who's to say that Iran shouldn't have a nuclear weapon, right? Like, who are you to say who gets nuclear weapons and who doesn't? And so you're committing acts of war based in a country realizing that if you don't have a nuclear bomb, you're fucked, especially going up against nuclear powers like Israel and America. And so Iran knows that, like, they have to get this because they're considered one of the axis of evils. And, they're a shitty country too. I'm not defending Iran. I know people there and they live miserable lives because of the, let's get into that here. So Operation Ajax, the Iranian coup d'etat, the 1953 Iranian coup d'etat, known in Iran as the 28 Mordad coup d'etat, is the overthrow of Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. This is a moderate elected guy they had modern stuff there. They were a modern country. They were doing well. On August 1953, led by the Iranian army and supported by the United States and the United Kingdom, the coup aimed at strengthening the autocratic rule of the Shah Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, this bloodthirsty fuck. This guy was just brutal to his own people. And a key motive was to protect British oil interests in Iran after its government refused to concede to Western oil demands. And so what happened was British Petroleum, BP, it was called something else back then, but it was wanting to, here's some of the images, it was wanting to, it had created oil industry in Iran. And Mossadegh came in and said, you guys are getting 80% of the profits. We want 50-50. It's our oil and your infrastructure. And so they said, fuck you. And they ran to the Americans and said, this guy's trying to fucking strong arm and take 50% of their oil rights. And so America went in and took this Mossadegh, this leader, this good leader, and they ran various operations to overthrow him. They brought in thugs and disinformation agents, and he was a very popular leader. And they overthrew him, and they put in the puppet, the Shah of Iran, who was a fucking nightmare. And he was bloodthirsty and killed all these people. And CIA just recently took this, admitted to doing this. And again, there was no reason to take this guy out other than he wanted the oil profits for himself. Not for himself, for his country. As opposed to going to the British, they would have had a percentage. They would have had 50-50 in the oil. And so by doing a regime change and bringing in the Shah of Iran, they created the now government, which everybody knows about. Like, pretty much everyone knows. And I talked to these people because I knew about it. And there's Iranian people who do my meditation, do the Sajmark meditation. And, they know America's fucked them over, and they're the sweetest people. Like, they're not like, they could hate all Americans, and they don't. And they can't even meditate. Like, they can't meditate in their country. Like, these are modern people. Let me show you this too here. So my wife sent me this tweet I'm going to show you from that piece of shit Dinesh D'Souza. But Trump, meanwhile, he has just posted this. This was fresh on Twitter as I opened it up. So June 17th at 12:48 p.m. That's what they're posting. Unconditional surrender. Even though Israel has fucked you over and ignored you and treated you like a little bitch, he's pushing for a complete surrender. And this piece of shit, Dinesh D'Souza, this was Iran before Khomeini. It's worth remembering how the left demonized the Shah and convinced Jimmy Carter to pull the Persian rug out from under him. That's how radical Islam gets its hold on the major state, which has been the chief global sponsor of terrorism ever since. See, this was, also how it was under Mossadegh. And to ignore the fact that America is an evil empire and does regime change. right? So what we want to do now is what BD wants us to do is regime change in Iran. And we know how that worked in Libya. Like, Libya's a fucking mess, and it was wrong to do that. Like, we fucked Libya and the Libyan people over based in the UN ordering, looted its gold. I mean, destroyed those people. And that's a guy who gave up his weapons of mass destruction. And so, of course, Iran wants a nuclear weapon for protection. And, you know, they suck over there, those leaders, and it's hard to live there. I know from people who are Iranian. It's not great. They don't like it. But it was created by the West trying to control people's destiny and doing that kind of bullshit, right? This Operation Mossadegh fucking thing. And so, you know, it's evil. Like, we're doing evil, and Israel's the aggressor. Israel's taken out a country, Palestine, that's not even known as a country, has land grabbed and stole their land and did this bullshit, false flag October 7th thing that, why in the world would Hamas act the way they have? Everything that they claim Hamas has done has made it easier giving Israel excuse, right? Evil empires always make excuses. Admit that you're just taking people's land and you're being a dick and you're not the victim and you're not the hero and you're not standing up for, people like fucking the people, your people or the other people in this country. You're just murdering people and taking their land and taking their resources and making up bullshit excuses to do it. Like, just admit that. Like, that's who we are. We're not the fucking heroes. We're an evil empire supporting evil fucking countries that are destroying and taking over other evil countries. And it's a bunch of fucking assholes running all the countries. Some countries have more power. And, but it's all fucking wrong and evil and fucking bad and demonic and all these things. So let's go to this C-word person here.
Innocent children were killed in their sleep. These weren't soldiers. They weren't military targets, just kids.
This thing is really abhorrent. It's really freaking bad. But whatever you want to say about this, like, just because there's two different opinions or two different ways of looking at things, we do know a couple of things here. The Palestinian people have no army. They have no army, no air force, no military to speak of. They don't even have a fucking government. They're not even really a country. They're not even recognized as a state. What do? They throw rocks, right? There was a comedian years and years ago that made a joke. Why aren't there more Palestinian baseball players? If you see the Palestinians, they're throwing rocks against tanks, against well-trained army. Every young person has to serve in the Israeli army, so their whole society is indoctrinated into a military point of view, right? And the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, is more times than not the aggressor. They were just taking Palestinians' land. They were just grabbing their land over and over again. And we know what's going on with Palestine, at least in terms of the videos we see and the reports we see. And of course it is. And they've killed 20,000 children. Just killed them. Has nothing to do with Hamas. Hamas is more than likely their asset. False flag type asset. So, for her to lay on the guilt and this kind of, the shame and the victim consciousness, it's really victim consciousness here, is abhorrent, right? And this whole thing is abhorrent because Israel struck first.
Innocent children were killed in their sleep. These weren't soldiers. They weren't military targets, just kids in their beds. And rockets from Iran ended their lives. Over 200 people are injured. Cities across Israel are burning. This isn't just about Israel here. This is a global wake-up call.
First, this thing starts off with, breaking news and very sensationalistic and, with this stressed out music that they do, very manipulative. And now it's like, the whole globe, like this is a global problem, not just Israel doing a land grab and now going for it, right? There's two news stories with Trump saying a couple of things that I'll cover tomorrow. It's probably going to go on all night. So today's Tuesday, January 17th. I still have to do the meditation, which I haven't done yet, make dinner. So I have to get this thing done. But I'm going to do a shorter video tomorrow and then do some other things that I, I'm going to do another video on the other channel. And so, whatever. But anyways, it's, it's abhorrent. It's like just really fucking disgusting, this thing.
Iran's regime has taken its nuclear program to the point of no return. They've enriched enough uranium to build at least 9 nuclear bombs. Just think about that for a second. The level of destruction that could cause? Israel clearly couldn't just sit back and do nothing while facing that kind of threat.
This is for people who know nothing, right? And have no critical thinking skills.
So early Friday morning, Israel carried out a preemptive strike on key Iranian facilities, trying to stop their nuclear plans while doing everything possible to avoid hurting innocent people.
These shills for Israel always talk about how they always avoid hurting innocent people. But they've started all these conflicts. The 6 Days War, all the stuff they've did to the Palestinian people over this period of time, imprisoning them, killing them, depriving them of food and water and electricity and internet, all the things, the Gaza Strip and other places, West Bank. And, like they're not assholes, right? Oh, we're just defending ourselves and we're trying not to hurt anybody. Like this whole thing, it's just abhorrent.
Iran's regime, on the other hand, responded by going after civilians, not military targets, not strategic sites, but everyday people.
So when you're this kind of liar, because she's lying to American people, and I get into this whole thing. I show her fucking horrific, abhorrent Instagram page, and she's just a clear Israeli shill. This is like all she does. And there's lots of people that do this, right? And, if you want to be considered like a good person, you have to give both sides of the story. You have to at least acknowledge in yourself this is the other people's side of the story. You may not agree with it. They might be rearranging reality, whatever. You're in some sort of conflict with somebody. But here's the situation. Israel has an Iron Dome that America doesn't have. It's mostly American weapons or American money that goes to pay for it, or money that people who are dual citizens, they work in America and make lots of money and send it back to Israel. Like, so they, various ways that this is something that America is paying for. And it's, not an Iron Dome, but it's a series of, anti-missile defense capabilities to shoot down all these missiles that come flying in there, right? And so these other countries around them who are getting bullied by Israel and seeing the way that Israel's treating the people at Gaza Strip, the Palestinian people and the West Bank, they don't have the kind of, for one, first strike capabilities where Israel can come in and take over. Like they say they now own Iranian skies. That means that the Iranian Air Force has been defeated. And so when you have air superiority, you've already won, right? So they can just bring in whatever Air Force bomber and shit that we've given them, that American taxpayers have paid for, to bomb the shit out of Iranian people. And of course they don't give a shit about civilians. They've already killed far more Iranians than the Iranians have killed of Israelis. So all the Iranians can do is take their low-tech rockets and shoot them into this Iron Dome and hope a couple of them hit, right? But they don't have the ability to target them because of the technology, the military technology that they get from America. Trump has just come out and say we've won. We own Iran right now. Because, and that's a whole thing that I'll get into in my next video. But he's already come out and said that. And so, that's something I want to cover in more detail at the beginning of my video tomorrow. But, part of that, what he means is the technology that America has. When we fought Iraq, it was 1 million Iraqis died to only 5,000 American troops. And, as I'm going to cover on my other channel, wait till they have these robots, that are going to do the fighting. Which we've seen in many various science fiction movies. And so it's disingenuous to pretend that Iran can just target military installations and whatever, the way Israel can do that, because they can't, right? It's like you have firecrackers and somebody else has missiles. Like you have rocks and they have, fucking machine guns. It's not this, it's not equal here.
Leaders don't hide their goals. Step to Israel. Death to America. Those aren't slogans. Those are threats.
Donald J. Pussy Trump just made a bunch of fucking threats towards Iran. Like, in Israel's threatening him all the time, and she says they don't hide their thing. You know, they don't hide it. I mean, they have these rallies or whatever it is, and it doesn't help them out. I mean, it hurts them when they say things like this: death to America, death to Israel. But it's playing right into Israel and America's hands, because they want regime change, and they want the resources. They want all the things that they want to exploit these people like colonizers do, right? So, I mean, all this is just, it's like I said, it's abhorrent.
They've spent decades funding terror in Lebanon, Gaza, Syria, Yemen, sending money and weapons to groups that literally blow up buses, schools, and homes. This isn't about justice. This is about destruction. This isn't a war that Israel wanted.
Are you shitting me? Israel is fighting as many wars as possible. They're fighting a war in the Gaza Strip. They're fighting the war in the West Bank. They just killed a leader in Syria. I mean, anything that they can get America to do as well. They're like, we're not warlike people. They are very warlike people. Israel is a very warlike country. Like, Jesus Christ.
Just ask yourself, what would your country do if 10,000 long-range missiles were aimed at your homes? If your schools were shut down, flights grounded, and your kids were hiding underground? The radical Iranian regime has already built 9 nuclear bombs.
So why haven't they dropped one on Israel yet? Right? Like, if they have bombs like that, why aren't they dropping it on Israel? Only you take one of them would wipe out the whole country. I mean, so if it's if Israel's so worried about them having nuclear weapons, if they already have them, then why even do this, right? Why escalate a war where Iran might go nuclear? The whole thing was to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons. If they already have them, then you're fighting a country that, if you kick the shit out of them enough, they might just drop a nuclear bomb on you. I mean, if they can do it. And so, what are you talking about, bitch, right?
And now they're producing up to 20,000 long-range ballistic missiles. That's not just a threat to Israel. That is a threat to Europe, to America, to the world. Let me be clear. This war is not with the people of Iran. They want freedom just like we do. It is against the IRGC, the regime that is willing to sacrifice everyone, even their own people, to stay in power. The regime that hijacked a once beautiful nation that now silences women, funds terror, and spreads hate across the globe.
Is that where you're going with this, right? Like I said, we all know the truth about what happened to Iran. America and Europe fucked them over, and Israel's all about it, right? Making Iran into a Muslim, whatever they call it, theocracy, is exactly what these people want. So they have the excuse to go do what they're doing now, right?
Here's the truth. If we want peace, real peace, then we all need to stand together. Israelis, Iranians, Americans, everyone. Because by weakening this regime, Israel is not just defending itself. It is contributing to regional and global stability. If we unite against this regime, the Iranian people can finally reclaim their future. And then maybe Israel and Iran can be allies again, just like they once were. If the world doesn't stand up now, we won't be able to say that we didn't see it coming, because it's already here. We have the power to change history. And listen, change isn't passive. It takes real courage. So choose it now before it's too late.
So I thought this person, Montana Tucker, sounds like a fake name. The Children of October 7th streaming now in Paramount. So she is a full-time Israeli shill. You guys might remember that Israel was offering people money, social media people, some of them truthers, to cover this in a positive way, to back Israel and slam the Hamas holes in Palestine. Remember back when that stuff happened. And she took up the offer here. I think she's just an out-and-out. I mean, she might even be Mossad. And, this blonde bimbo who's here she is dancing with some girl, And this is an insult to Americans and American youth. So Israel wants to drag us into a war. I mean, the Zionists, not every Jewish person, not every Israeli person, but the Zionists, Netanyahu and all them, they want to drag us into a war with not only Iran, but Russia. I mean, the whole thing. I've covered this before. Like they need, they want the promised land. And so this is a Voices of Hope. There's a thing we just watched, Voices of Hope. Oftentimes she's smiling like a bimbo. And she has a TikTok channel, a model, like this kind of model shit that they do. I mean, she's modeling this stuff when she's covering basically genocide and war and, horrific things, right? Like just all this stuff about free Palestine, the kind of stuff. When the people of Gaza are risking their lives to say, instead, Hamas is the real enemy. So, I mean, she is pushing a genocide, right? On, for the young American people who watch TikTok and all these things. And she wants our money. She wants our tax debt to pay her dollars, right? Here she is playing foosball. Here she is, Mayor Eric Adams. She's wearing as Israeli. She must be Jewish. She's got a Jewish star on. Here she is in Israel. New Day Rising with Yoval Raphael's voice lead the way just a few days before heading to Eurovision stage. At the honor of sitting down with his beautiful, talented, kind Yuval in Israel, we spoke about the heart and hope and power of her song, A New Day Will Rise, right? And, Israel is an aggressive, fucking shitty country. Not unlike America, but more manipulative, smaller, and, long history here. And I'm not saying that the Muslims are the good guys. The Muslims don't get along with each other. There's Shiite and Sunni Muslim groups that have these these bloody battles. They had a lot of problems with the Indians in India, very aggressive. Not every Muslim, there's the Sufi Muslims, which is, partially the Sajmark system comes out of India and has some Sufi influences. The Sufis and, the whirling dervishes, they have these really spiritual people in the Muslim tradition, but they have a lot of warlike people too. And they've been having beef with the Jews for a long time. And, there's no way that anybody could say one group's right, one group's wrong. When you're in a beef for 3,000 years, you both suck and your religions suck, right? If you've been beefing for 3,000 years, you need to take a hard look at yourself because you're part of the problem. There's no victims here. But here she is celebrating with Eric Adams. It's an Israeli Day parade. 45,000 likes. I mean, she's getting, thousands of likes. And she's obviously, if not a paid shill, she's got to be a paid shill. Like this is what's sponsoring. She's sponsored here. And, this thing with Paramount, this October 7th thing, this is on the Paramount network. So people at CBS and Paramount are paying for this drivel. They have a lot of influence over these networks in terms of their executives and these pro-Israeli people. But this is screwing over us. It's dragging us into a war, and it's costing us more money. We fund so much of what's happening in Israel. And these are horrible people that are lying to you. I'm a Palestinian, I'm a Jew, ask us anything. They have all this stuff, right? And, they're committing a genocide. Here she is in her super Israeli, Israel Superman suit, right? Or superhero, and so this is the Sabra superhero costume. She's in Tel Aviv. And, it's just sticky. One of my viewers sent me the original video. And it's offensive because they're working us over. They're screwing us over. They're taking our taxpayer dollars. They're manipulating our policies and our lobbies. They do false flags here, things like that. I mean, they do a lot of shit. And they're trying to win over kids to this horrific thing that's going on in Palestine as they land grab and they try to drag America down with them and fight their wars for them. And, there's a big fuck you to America, everything that she's doing. And they're pushing this shit across the internet. How many pro-Iranian shill, pro-Iran stuff have you seen? Or pro-Palestinian stuff that you've seen that's like, this inorganic, this fake. There's individual people who talk, are pro-Palestinian, but they're much more organic, and they don't have this kind of backing, and they're considered radicals, and their channels and their And they're getting pushed off of social media. There's Jewish people for Peace, and other groups that are on Facebook that are against the way the Palestinian people are being treated, but all those people are getting shouted down. And you have like all this crap that's being elevated, right? And then there was another page here, Stand With Us, that was also linked to that original video they showed you. And this is, now and always I stand with the people of Israel. This is Fetterman bullshit and, just heartless stuff. And they're the aggressor. So here's the video that they put up, that one too. Co-sponsor it, this guy here. So there's all these people out there. This has 1.4 million followers. This girl here, she has Mother Tucker. This Mother Tucker person, she has 3.2 million followers, and she also is on TikTok. So, I don't know how many of those are legitimate, but I mean, think about that. The fucking shitty propaganda, bullshit stuff about an evil where Israel is the aggressor. Okay, so this is, good and a lot longer than I wanted the video to go, but there'll be more tomorrow. It's clear that America and Israel are not the heroes and have not been the heroes all along. I mean, just building weapons like that. The weapons that America makes and spreads out throughout the world do damage to all kinds of people. I mean, the weapons race, the whole military-industrial complex, and what it does, not just to people, but animals and the whole thing. And all this nuclear bullshit, and, it's just so fucking greasy. Anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's paramount, definitely important for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.